Good morning to my fellas. My name is Sergio Cardona. Live in the Bronx. Um, I'm actually an aviation enthusiast. I've been doing this for 16 plus years now. Um, right now I'm really studying because I'm getting ready to go to LaGuardia Airport in about 2.5 hours. Um, Right now, I just want to mention about a few things that I do, and it's the fact that I'm into aviation. I've been into aviation since I was 8 years old, and now right now doing studies on airline disasters and as well as anything related to aviation, because that's the stuff I love to do. I love to find out anything I can about what I do, as well as that says aviation related stuff. This morning, about 6 o'clock a.m. Right now, I'm working on finding out more about there was a major plane crash this morning in Birmingham, Alabama, and it happened to be a UPS flight. It's an Airbus A300 freighter, which appears that the plane was landing. He was flying in from Kentucky, where it's based at. And apparently, something obviously went wrong because I was also looking back on crashes that happened, like the June 6th crash of Asiana Airlines Flight 214 that crashed in San Francisco, which that's turning out to be that it was a pilot error, supposedly. The one pilot that flew that plane, which was in the controls, only had 43 hours in flight, and the plane was approaching San Francisco very low, at a very low altitude at 500 feet before colliding with the seawall as he was landing. That crash, two people died at the crash, and another two died later, within weeks. And I'm in that kind of concern about the aviation industry as well myself, because, like I said, aviation is my life. Aviation is what I do. Aviation is my hobby, and airline photography is what I do to keep me occupied. I am with a group of from nycaviation.com, and just to mention out that I enjoy hanging out with the fellas out there. We had a big ball game this past Saturday, which was incredible. We had a lot of people out spotting, and also the fact that when it comes to aviation, it's pretty much important to me because this is what I do. But as far as airline disasters go, I look up right away to find out if I have photos of that particular plane. I look up to see, because right now, currently, I have photos of 9 planes that's been involved in accidents and emergencies. I have 9 photos I took of those particular planes. Like the one, for example, the U.S. Airways Flight 1549 that went down the Hudson River and January 15, 2009. I actually caught a picture of that plane 2 days before it crashed. That was on January 13th, 2009 at LaGuardia. However, it was a shocking moment for me that day. The day that it went down, how I happened to discover that I've actually caught a shot of that plane at 2 days before it went down. It was a shocking moment. However, and also, the next day I went down to the crash scene. I got photos over there, and I'm that kind of person that does all that stuff. I'm very curious about this stuff. I even got photos of an accident just a few weeks ago of a Southwest Airlines flight that had a nose gear collapse on the runway at LaGuardia, which obviously the pilots had nosedived the plane in. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know what errors that took place at that point there still, but they're still investigating that whole thing, including the Asiana crash. Um, I've done a lot of research about the major disasters that's happened in the past, and and I've watched the series of Mayday air crash investigations, and I watched so far every one of them that's been released, and I have all the programs on my computer on my video list. Um, ever since all that, since 1995, 96, the day the TWA Flight 100 had crashed in the Atlantic Ocean just after takeoff from JFK, killing 230 people on board. I've been studying air crashes since that time, and that was the very first crash I've ever studied. So I went along with it. I went the year later to start doing photography, aviation photography, which I started out with a 35 millimeter camera, and went to straight from that in 2006 to point and shoot, which is like one of those like Kodak cameras that non-professionalized. And then 2008, this is what I use today for my photography, and this is a Canon Rebel XT from EOS by Canon. And this actually, the lens itself is 75 300 millimeter, which is a zoom, and this is actually a telephoto lens of 1.146 USM. So this is actually very good for long distance shots. So, but I'm looking forward to eventually get an sort of like a how you call that? A 100 to 400 millimeter lens, which is a bigger lens for a longer distance shots. And also, what also I plan in mind is the fact that I'm gonna get a short wise lens eventually in the future too. I was gonna wait till I go to Los Angeles because I'm leaving to Los Angeles October 17th of this year for 5 days, which I'll be attending to a major aviation event going on in LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, for the basically for the British Airways Airbus A380 arrivals. But the plane's coming in sooner than before we get there, so that's still gonna be a extra ball game for us still. But it's part of the event. We're gonna be going on ramp tours. We're gonna be doing a lot of spotting. We're gonna get a lot of great shots. We have over a lot of people from NYC Aviation that's gonna join this whole thing that's going. I already booked my trip on early July for Los Angeles, so I'm all set for that. September 17th, September 18th, actually no, it's the 18th. I will be going for a week at JFK for United Nations spotting, which means that we'll be getting shots of a lot of the very rare aircraft that's going to be coming to JFK, and I got to be out the entire week for it. And September 28th, LaGuardia Airport is hosting a Kids Day event, which is actually it's a Saturday, which I'll be attending there. Or if not, I'm still trying to find out from a friend of mine about there's also an event going on, possibly the same day. That's going to be at Newark, New Jersey, at Newark Liberty International Airport. If that goes on, I gotta see which one I'm gonna go to, because right now I kind of want to go to Newark because I haven't this plane spotted in Newark in 5 years, and the fact that I want to be able to go on and get some new stuff, new planes out there. So this is an important thing for me, though. This is something I live with. This is something I grew up with, and I know many people think I'm strange about that, but everybody's got something they like to do, and it's a kind of a thing that not everybody has. But we have a lot of spotters in New York City that enjoys, including all around the world. We got all over the United States, Europe, Asia, Australia, so on, including Africa. We got spotters out there, around there as well. So today, right now, I'm still currently spending an extra few studying the crash of this UPS A300 that happened this morning. I'm gonna see, because this is what I'm looking through here. I'll show you. I'm on my organization site, nycaviation.com. This was done by a good friend of mine, Jason, which is the correspondent of NYC Aviation. This is all I've been looking up so far, because the flight number is UPS flight 1354 from Louisville, Kentucky, where it took off, and that's where it's based at. And this is the actual aircraft I crashed too. But this the registration number on the aircraft was or I should say this November 155 Umbrella or Papa. So, in which I was asked to see if I had any photos of that particular plane, but unfortunately I don't have. I never caught that one. So, because I went back on a number of photo streams and see if I have it, and apparently it doesn't appear that I have it. So, I'm still gonna be working on this for a little while long, and I'm gonna see if what else I can get out of it. Because right now, from what it looks like, getting at, and I don't know for sure if that's true though, that it's possibly a communication error, like between either the pilots or the ATC. What ATC stands for Air Traffic Control. I'm gonna see what's been going on, because the plane was on short final to runway 18 at Birmingham Airport, where it was scheduled to land, and the plane obviously didn't make the runway, and broke apart as it fell out of the sky, and the tail section was mortally on fire. Two of the pilots are confirmed perished at this point too, and right now it's like it's a whole ball game. So I'm gonna be working on this for a little while longer. Then about 2 o'clock, I'm gonna take off to go to LaGuardia and see what I can get out there today. They are currently using runway expressway visual 31, which the airport has only 2 runways. They're using runway 4 for departures right now. They're actually flying overhead of me right now where I live on the Bronx, because I can actually hear them. Because when they take off on runway 4 from LaGuardia, they usually fly directly over the Bronx, especially where I live at, because I'm in the Morris Park section on close to like Pelham Parkway. They usually will fly it like overhead. Same thing that will happen if the runway 22 is in use as well, which will be the opposite way. That they'll be approaching a little bit low overhead, or sometimes they'll reach out as far as Westchester County, and usually line up for the two arrivals. Because what we here get is the visual approaches, and we also have ILS, which ILS is Instrument Landing System, which means it's more like a straight in. So anyway, thanks for listening. I'm going to continue on this coverage on this crash, and for another 1:19 p.m. now, for another probably 15 more minutes, and then I'm going to get ready and start heading to LaGuardia to do some photographs. Tomorrow is a big day, because I'm gonna be at JFK spotting I'm gonna try to get there by 8 o'clock in the morning. Spend the entire day there, because we got a special incoming tomorrow evening. That's gonna be Norwegian Air Shuttle bringing their first Boeing 787, which is their brand new aircraft. It's a beautiful looking aircraft, and I'm really looking forward to actually catching it tomorrow for the first time. So tomorrow's the day, and I'm gonna be try to get home early tonight. Supposedly, like, not get home past 11, so I can be able to get some sleep. And I'm gonna go from there and see what I can get. All right. So for all the listeners, enjoy a wonderful day on this August 14th, 2013. And sad to say, the summer's almost over, but let's enjoy it while we still can, shall we?